Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Spokane City Council briefing session for April 12th. I'm going to go a little bit out of order today because I have a commitment at 4 o'clock, and Pro Tem Councilmember Mumm is going to take over at that point if we're not done by then. So I wanted to make sure that we went through tonight's budget and made any, or not budget, agenda, and made any changes. So the first is that you, I hope, saw the copy of an emergency resolution that would allow.
Roll call.
Actually, we should do a roll call first. Thank you. Rennie.
Council President Beggs.
Present.
Councilmember Burke.
Here.
Councilmember Cathcart.
Present.
Councilmember Kinnear.
Present.
Councilmember Mumm.
Here.
Councilmember Stratton.
Here.
Councilmember Wilkerson.
Present.
Let the record reflect that all council members are present.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. As I was saying, there's a few agenda changes potentially that I wanted to get to, and one of them was the emergency resolution allowing Public Works to enter into contracts to repave a section of Grand that had a major water main break today, and currently there's a giant sinkhole on the two northbound lanes of Grand and 18th. And so I am looking for a motion to suspend the rules for purposes of changing the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to suspend the rules. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of suspending the rules indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? All right, the rules are suspended. Is there a motion to add Resolution 2021-33 to this evening's agenda?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to add that resolution that you all have in your email to this evening's agenda. Any discussion about adding that? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? All right, that's added to the agenda. We had a request from staff on ordinance 360003, which is the special events ordinance. Carly Courtwright and I have been making good progress meeting with all the sponsors of various parades, and we're getting pretty darn close. But after discussion, we thought it would be best to just table indefinitely so we don't keep coming back until we have it finalized and there are no parades coming up anytime soon. So I'm looking for a motion to table 36003 indefinitely, and we'll come back to you.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? All right, that's deferred indefinitely. Similar, the Yellowstone Pipeline Committee, Ordinance C35924, we've continued to negotiate through our lawyer to try to get an agreement on binding arbitration on how much insurance they should have once we get a study done. And we haven't gotten there yet. I think just by background, our lawyers are doing a great job on it, but the pipeline is a challenge in that any franchise agreement they agree to with us formally then becomes the model for other ones. And I think that's really becoming a challenge. But without it, we don't really have any ability to require the appropriate insurance for a spill in the river or the aquifer. And so we're still working on it. I don't know if Tim Zamblin is on or not.
Yes, I'm here.
Tim, last we chatted, you were going to keep trying to get them to talk about it. Any updates on that you can share in an open session?
Yeah, I plan on talking with senior corporate counsel this week, probably Wednesday. So I'll probably have an update by the end of the week.
All right. Then I would suggest a motion to defer until May 10th. If anyone's willing to make that. All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor of deferring to May 10th indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay. Abstentions? All right, that's deferred to May 10th. Then the other request I had from council members was around Resolution 0029, which is approving the Planning Commission's work program. We've had a request to update that or add to it, and I'll leave it to other council members, but I've heard there's staff would like some conversation about figuring out how we would do it. And so, I don't know, Councilmember Kinnear, I don't know if you had a motion on that.
I would like to make a motion to defer it for 2 weeks until we can get staff, or staff can tell us how they want to proceed with that. I think the additions have merit. I would like to defer so that we can get it all straightened out before we go forward. Second.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion to defer for 2 weeks while we make sure that staff have the resources to accomplish those? Councilmember Cathcart.
Yeah, I'll support the deferral. Happy to continue the conversation on this. Just hopefully we can find a resolution that works for the city and helps to improve our housing situations.
Yep.
I'll support.
Yep. All right, so that would be 2 weeks is the 26th. Any further discussion about deferring until the 26th? All right, seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of deferring Resolution 29 until April 26th indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, any abstentions? All right. I believe that is all the agenda changes, so we'll go back to the advanced agenda, and we have Mr. Piccolo here today.
Good afternoon. So we'll start with you want to start with the April 19th advance agenda?
Yes.
Okay. So on the consent agenda, first item is a 5-year blanket order, and Rex Strickland will brief that item. I'm not sure if he is on this afternoon.
I am. Hi, how are you? The Spokane Fire Department's personal protective equipment contract expired. We've received 2 bids during the request for proposals process. After a thorough wear trial, we determined that the gear from LN Curtis held up better than the competing vendor. We selected to continue doing business with LN Curtis for another 5 years. Any questions?
Okay. The second item is a 36-month leases with Enterprise Fleet Management, and Nathan Groh will brief that item.
Good afternoon, everyone. Essentially, we are looking to lease the 3 trucks, 3 F-150s for the engineering department until electric F-150s come out. Production should start at the beginning of 2022 for the electric F-150. We chose to lease through Enterprise, specifically these models, because the hybrid F-150 model was, not chosen because of the price and configuration of the vehicle. We didn't want to go with an SUV as well because extra towing capacity was needed. They also needed the capability to carry ladders, wheelbarrows, etc. So an SUV wouldn't have been an appropriate fit. And once again, I'd just like to emphasize, that we are using this leasing option to allow us the ability to get out of these vehicles once that appropriate EV becomes available, most likely the electric F-150 in 2022, 2023. Any
All right, no
questions?
questions? Nope, doesn't appear so. Number 3 is a purchase from Dell for various laptops, in-car docks, and desktops, and Shauna Ernst will brief this item.
Hello. So we currently have a mix of laptops and desktops. Patrol officers are using Panasonic CF31s that are no longer being produced by the vendor. And then the detectives have a variety of laptops and desktops. This purchase would standardize everyone in the department on a Dell semi-rugged laptop that we did extensive field testing with. So we tested it in cars with 6 different officers over the course of 6 weeks total. And it's semi-rugged, it's lighter, it's got a wider screen, better performance and specs, and it's also less expensive than going with a fully ruggedized model. So we would buy 385 of these laptops and then 250 in-car docks because those have to get switched out. They have different mounts. And then some desktop docking stations as well. It'll make it a lot easier for us to manage the equipment because every officer will have the same thing. And then if we need to send, a detective out into the field, if there's another pandemic situation, their equipment will be ready to go. Any questions?
Okay. Does
Thank
there
you.
be any questions? Thank you. Number 4 is a value blanket renewal for police jumpsuits, and Jennifer Hammond will brief this item.
Hi, it's Mike McNabb. I'm going to brief this for Jennifer Hammond. We're asking to renew our contract with Galls for the police jumpsuits for 2021, estimated value blanket of $150,000. Any questions?
Okay, Mike, you have the next one as well. Request for additional funds for the value blanket with Gunnarama Wholesale.
Yeah, so we're in year 4 of a 5-year contract value blanket with Gunnarama. We're asking to increase this year and next year's value blanket an additional $15,000 for the purchase of handguns. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
I believe those are probably for replacement. What do you do with the ones that are being replaced?
Yes, Councilwoman. We turn those back in to the vendor we buy them from, and they buy them from us and give us a credit towards our next purchase. Councilwoman Kinnear?
Yeah, Council President, thank you. I would also add, Councilmember Mudd, we briefed this at Public Safety, and the weapons go back to the original entity that sold them. They're sold, or they're refurbished. They can be sold back to other law enforcement agencies. Am I right on this, Major McNabb? Do I have this right?
Other law enforcement agencies or other firearm retailers.
There we go. Thank you. So they're not going to go back out on the street as Saturday night specials to, kill a police officer or kill a innocent bypasser or whatever.
No, Councilwoman, I certainly hope not.
If there are no more questions, we'll go to number 6, which is a contract amendment and extension with Systems and Software Inc. and Corinne Morse will present that one.
Hi, this is Brandon Myers, the project manager for this project, and I'll be speaking to this one. Over the last year, the COVID-19 pandemic has had an impact on our ability to meet some key deadlines and work with our vendor for this particular project, and some of the collaboration and training that we had planned was delayed. And as we are nearing the completion of this project now, our request is to extend the project timeline by five months with a go live of early September, at a cost of about $153,000, which is about 4.6% of the total project budget. And at this time, with what we've learned and where we are in our pandemic response, we expect to be able to meet that and without any issue. Any questions on that?
Nope, doesn't appear to be any questions. Number 7 is a contract with Carasoft Technology Corp., and Mike Sloan will present that item.
Thanks, Mr. Piccolo. Good afternoon, Council. This is a renewal for the Carasoft CRM, Customer Relationship Management licenses that primarily use MySpokane 311. We're asking for approval for $115,870.58, and this is slightly higher than last year, and the increase is only due to additional license purchases. So that's what the only increase. Again, in our effort to maintain contract expense increases, this was held flat other than license agreement increase. Asking for your approval for that amount. Thank you.
Quick question for you, Mike.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I asked the same question a year ago. Any chance that there's going to be some additional licenses that perhaps council could get access to? I've been struggling for 14 months to get access to a CRM for my office.
Yeah, Councilman Cathcart, the licenses that are used, that have been purchased, are assigned to a person or a seat, if you will. So only way to gain access is to purchase an additional license. And I think originally when you'd asked, we gave you a quote. We can quote any time, but in order for you to have access, we would need to purchase a license, or if Carly is still on, if Carly would allow one to be borrowed, I believe we can transfer it for a period of time, but that would deplete from the seats that are already assigned to the 311 staff.
Gotcha. Well, it didn't hurt to ask, so thank you.
And I'll take this offline with you because maybe there's another way we could ask that. Oh, Carly just responded that I believe we have a solution for you, Councilman, and I'll follow up with Carly and you offline tomorrow if that would work. Okay.
Thank you, Mike. We've been asking for a CRM in the council office for, I think we're up to 5 years, 4 years for Kate. We did talk about the share and put it together, so we are all very anxious to do that. I know Hannah Lee's worked very hard on this as well, so we're looking forward to it.
Good, yeah. And Carly just confirmed we have a license, so we'll schedule that up and we'll get that taken care of for you.
Is that the same thing? We have one. Yeah. So apparently City Council does have one, according to Hannah Lee Allers.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And Council President, I will confirm that, and we'll get that done. It's easy for me to walk down the hall to your offices, so I'll follow up with if Council Cathcart, you're in the office, I'll swing by. Okay, thank you.
All right. Number 8 is the acceptance of Tenant Rental Assistance Program funds from the Washington State Department of Commerce and authorization for a subgrant fund, and that'll be presented by Margaret Hinson.
Hello, thank you. CHHS is requesting permission to accept just over $9 million in Treasury rent assistance funds. This is coming through Washington State's Department of Commerce. These funds are identical to what we received directly from Treasury, so they will be used to prevent evictions, to pay past due, current due, and future rent. And the same eligibility will be used for these funds as well, and we'll plan to RFP these out to the community.
If there are no questions, thank you, Margaret. The last 2 items are placeholders. Number 9 is report of the mayor pending claims and payments, and number 10 is the city council meeting minutes. Going to the legislative session, on the agenda, we have 1 special budget ordinance, also presented by Mike McNabb, and that is for a public safety judicial grant fund.
Council, this is a special budget ordinance to spend the funding that we received from the WASPIC grant for the sexual assault testing for the backlogged cases. I would have liked this to have been run concurrently with the other proposals that we had for. Unfortunately, didn't work out that way, so I apologize.
If there are no questions, going further on, we have no emergency ordinances. On to resolutions and final reading ordinances. The first one is Resolution 2021-32, declaring M4 Public Sector the sole source provider. And Jay Atwood will present that one.
Good afternoon, Council. This is a request to declare Infor En Route as the sole source provider as for maintenance and support for our computer-aided dispatch system. And then additionally, we're asking for approval of the maintenance contract for the time period of May 1st, 2021 through April 30th, 2022 in the amount of $81,511.24. Additionally, the approval of that contract, there's a continuation, 1 year continuation up to 4 additional years after the fact on that as well.
I don't see any questions, so we'll go on to the next one. Ordinance C 36033 relating to program participation criteria for the UHELP utility bill, and Marlene Feist will present that.
Good afternoon, Council. As you know, we have been working to assist our utility customers for the last year. This continues the additional flexibility we've provided to our eligibility criteria to help get some of these funds into the hands of our customers. So just continuing that help through the end of the year. We know that the governor's moratorium on late fees and water shutoffs continues through July. So we anticipate having continued need around this area definitely through the end of the year. Of course, we're also now looking at use of some of the COVID relief dollars to also provide additional support for those utility customers.
And I see no questions. Thank you, Marlene. Ordinance 36034 will be under hearing item H1. Ordinance 36035 is an alignment of green gas reduction goals, and Council President Beggs will be presenting that one.
Yep, we've briefed that at committee, and essentially it just updates our ordinance to match the state levels. And we had a draft that came through the Sustainability Committee that was fully represented by Vista. They've given us a couple other minor requests for changes, and we'll get testimony tonight, perhaps, from the public, and probably have a slightly new version going forward.
Okay.
And
Council President, the next one is also yours.
Yep.
Ordinance 36036 on electric vehicle purchasing.
Yep, and this is a revision from what we proposed in a couple years ago, and Fleet asked us to delay putting it into place until they could get moving on things. And as we heard earlier today, they are definitely doing that. So again, it just complies with state law.
Okay. The next item is the first reading ordinance 36039, granting a non-exclusive franchise to use the public right-of-way, and Tim Zamlin will present that item.
Good afternoon. This is a franchise agreement with Evergem. They're a telecommunications fiber company, and they're based out of Cle Elum, Washington. Their main focus is to build fiber networks that will bring broadband choice and competition to underserved rural communities and in eastern Washington. So they're looking to potentially, when they're building out their broadband network, connecting into Spokane to help those rural communities out. They do a lot of work with municipalities, tribal nations, hospitals and clinics, and school districts. The term of this franchise is for 10 years with a one-time 5-year renewal option. Any questions? Thank you.
Any questions? Thanks, Jim. So the last item on the advanced agenda is H1, Ordinance 36034, the hearing on the final reading ordinance relating to the Shoreline Master Program periodic review. And Amanda Beck will brief this item.
Good afternoon, Council. Sorry, let me get this hidden from you. WebEx is always difficult for me. So we are working with the Department of Ecology to update our Shoreline Master Program. It's a part of the periodic review. What this has jurisdiction over is Spokane River and Latah Creek, their associated wetlands and the floodplains, and then anything that's within that 200-foot buffer zone that touches those water bodies. So the reason that we have been going through this update is it's required by Washington State's Shoreline Management Act. Specifically, we are required to do a periodic review on an 8-year schedule. So this is our year to complete it. And the whole purpose of this is to narrowly focus on, are we complying with changes to state legislation? Are we keeping up with other changes that Ecology has rolled out or changes in the RCWs? So what that means is it's very similar to the text amendment that came before you just a couple of weeks ago for the Unified Development Code. We are updating references to comply with the Washington State Office of Financial Management and to changes that they've done. We're also making text changes in regard to phrasing choices, so consistency with the UDC amendments we did previously. We're removing items such as design guidelines and replacing with phrases such as criteria. We're also updating cross-references to state regulations. But this is not changing and is not a part of the scope of the periodic review, as we're not changing the ecological baseline, and we're not looking at the shoreline jurisdiction or the environmental designations. So this won't result to changes in any of that regard, and it will not result in changes to the comprehensive plan. So as a part of the public participation requirements with the Department of Ecology, we have established a project page on the city's website. This has been briefed at numerous different public hearings. So Community Assembly was the first one that sort of kicked it off. And then Melissa Wittschreck, who was the previous planner who had worked through this amendment, had 2 public open houses on December 1st, which they were joint public houses held virtually with the Department of Ecology, where each of us presented on the periodic review scope and the intent. Excuse me. And then we've also taken this through what's considered the joint public comment and public hearing period with Ecology. So it was a 30-day public comment notice. And then the Plan Commission that was held in February was the public hearing. So as far as Ecology is concerned, we have that component of the requirement for the periodic review. Now we just need to go to City Council with the amendments, make any necessary revisions before adoption, and then Ecology is the final approving body. They'll finish up. So there are several sections that are being amended. 2 of them are in their administrative section, so we're amending some definitions, adding in some definitions in regard to shoreline uses. But the bulk of this amendment is going to concern Chapter 17E, which relates to all of our shoreline text. So I don't want to run through all of this since it's a lot. But just to let you know, these are all the different sections that are being amended. If anyone has questions, I can give a quick rundown of what the basic changes on each of those sections are. I wanted to let everyone know there are a couple of interesting items that are in your agenda packet. So the Ecology checklist is one of the required documents that we need to complete with Ecology. That's the matrix that you'll see with the green and gray colored Excel. So this is our review tool that Ecology uses along with us to make sure that the amendments that we are doing meet the intent established by Ecology, but also that all of the sections that need to be updated in a periodic review are being caught. And if we're not amending them, we just provide the reasoning as to why. For example, if we don't have freshwater, we would just note in the matrix that's not applicable for Spokane because our jurisdiction doesn't cover a freshwater body. Additionally, I put in a comment matrix. This is also part of that public participation and documentation for ecology. So when we went for the public comment period, anything that we received from agencies or members of the public were recorded, forwarded to ecology. Staff followed up with that person or agency, and then, if necessary, made changes to the draft text and reflected it also in the ecology checklist. So not typical, something you would see with our amendments coming forward before council, but it is one of the items that will need to be included in the public record. Are there any questions?
Does not appear to be any questions. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
And that completes the April 19th advance agenda, Council President.
Thank you so much, Mr. Piccolo. And is there a motion to approve the advanced agenda for April 19th?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? All right. The agenda is approved. I am going to duck out of this meeting for another engagement, and Council President Pro Tem Mumm is going to take over. And just a reminder that we have to brief the consent agenda as well as vote on it because we were gone last week. So I'll see everyone else at 6 o'clock. Thank you, Councilmember Mumm.
Thank you. We're going to go back to you, Mr. Piccolo, for briefing tonight's agenda.
Okay. On the consent agenda, the first item is purchase of vehicles for the fire department, and Fire Chief Brian Schaefer will brief that item.
Good afternoon. This is for your consideration, and our preference would be for approval for 3 Ford Explorers. These vehicles are response vehicles covering the Pacific Northwest on wildland incidents as well as local and regional incidents, not to exceed $112,000, $551. Any questions? Thanks.
Councilmember Kinnear.
Chief, thank you. Council President Beggs and you and I had a conversation about why not electric. Could you briefly explain why not electric?
Sure, thanks for the question. The technology just hasn't allowed us the ability to plug in the woods yet. Oftentimes, these vehicles will be deployed in the National Forest or to DNR fires across the Pacific Northwest. And while the future will include vehicles that will travel to these large campaign fires to charge up vehicles, it just isn't there yet. So our preference is to remain reliant with the DNR and the Forest Service on gas and diesel until such time as their infrastructure is in place. Likely 2023 is what we're seeing, is that's probably going to be a good time for transitioning.
Okay. Next item is a 1-year value blanket order with Cascade Engineering, Inc., and Dustin Bender will present that item.
Good afternoon. We're seeking approval for a contract with Cascade Engineering to supply 12,000 recycling carts at the 96-gallon size for anticipated upsizing with the new recycling rollout. This contract also includes tagging of the existing carts to notify them of their new collection weeks, as well as assembly and delivery of the new carts once the orders are known. So the total of this value blanket would be $995,781.60. Are there any questions?
Does not appear to be any questions. Thank you, Dustin. The next item is a contract amendment with Beth Kanar and Summit Law Group, acting as special counsel to provide legal services to the City Attorney's Office and to Human Resources. And this is in regard to labor negotiations for the Spokane Police Department and Spokane Fire Department, and the amount is not to exceed $50,000. And as many of you know, we've used Beth Kennard and her law firm of Summit Law Group for some time. She's an excellent attorney and it's an excellent law firm. If you have any questions that I can't answer, I can follow up with Mike Ormsby. All right, thank you. Item number 4 is a consultant agreement with Murray Smith Corporation and Beryl Fredrickson. I apologize if I mispronounced your name there. We'll present this item. Or Beryl Fredrickson.
Yeah, you got it. Beryl Fredrickson, thank you. Good evening, council members. I'm requesting approval for a water model calibration support contract to ground truth our city's water system model. 2 proposals were reviewed. Murray Smith was selected. The contract is for $146,700. Completion is expected to be at the end of the year. Any questions?
Does not appear to be any questions. Thank you, Beryl.
Thank you.
Number 5 is an interlocal agreement between the city and the Spokane International Airport for the water system plan, and Dan Buller will present this item.
Good afternoon. Item 5 is a proposed interlocal agreement with Spokane International Airport for construction of a water main extension on the southeast side of the airport. The water main in question is part of a larger water main project planned by the city from the booster station south of I-90 to the water tanks on the southeast side of the airport. That project is planned for construction in late 2021 or 2022 because of an earlier street project planned by Spokane International Airport. We propose to enter into an agreement with SIA for SIA's contractor to construct the overlapping portion of the water main with SIA's street project.
I don't see any questions. So Dan, number 6 is also yours, contract amendment with Nichols Kovich Engineering.
And item 6, proposed amendment to the existing contract with Nichols Kovich Engineering for the design of the Hatch Bridge deck replacement project. The proposed amendment amount is approximately $42,000 and is necessitated by the discovery during design of some inadequate key structural support beam connections, which necessitated a redesign of certain portions of the bridge. This design work is paid mostly with a federal grant.
I don't see any questions for you, Dan. Thanks, Dan. Number 7 is a sole source contract renewal with Dresser Rand Company and Chris Everett. Will brief this item.
Good afternoon. Today I'm seeking approval for sole source contract renewal with Dresser Rand, the OEM, for as-needed repair services for the turbine and generator at the waste energy facility. This is a 1-year renewal with a cost not to exceed $100,000.
And I see no questions. Number 8, Chris, is also yours. Final contract extensions for the waste to energy facility.
The next item is the last remaining contract renewal with Nalco for the chemical treatment program for boiler feed water at the facility. This extension is for $8,000 plus tax. The next item is a 1-year contract extension with Knight Construction Services for as-needed millwright and mechanical repairs at the waste energy. This is a 1-year extension for $1,800,000.
And Chris, you're on a roll, so number 9 is also yours, also with Knight Construction.
All right. This last item is a 2-year contract with Knight to replace fabric filter bags that are used to remove particulate from the flue gas. The total cost for this contract is $194,972.38 over the 2-year term. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Number 10 is the placeholder for the mayor's pending claims and payments. Number 11 is a placeholder for the city council meeting minutes. Going to the advanced agenda, we have one special budget item Michelle Hughes is listed here to present on the asset management funds and the parking meter fund.
Good afternoon, Council. This is again presenting to you the SBO for the SIP loans proceeds to be used on the parking meter program. And then the next item is a resolution that is for the bond documents of the actual issuance of the SIP loan. Is there any questions?
I don't see any questions, and that was resolution 2021-0021.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, Michelle. On the resolutions, 2021-0029 has been deferred for 2 weeks. That brings us to resolution 2021-30, expressing support for supplemental aquatic facility and operation funding, and Garrett Jones, the park director, is here to present.
Good afternoon, Council. Well, we're just excited to have this conversation about bringing back aquatics for the 2021 season. We really wanted to make aquatics a core service this year. With still the depleted revenues of last year and this year, we would be able to support a foundational model, but with the extended support and extra funding, under Phase 3, we could take it from 14,000 participants all the way up to 120,000 participants. And what that is, it's adding more open swim times. Even if we go back into Phase 2, that we still are able to serve up to 60,000 participants as well. So we work with the health district and state officials to make sure that we can have a safe and healthy and fun aquatic season for 2021. Any questions?
I see no questions. Thank you, Garrett. Resolution 2021-31 is setting a hearing for the City Council for a vacation, and Eldon Brown will present that item.
Good afternoon, Council. I'll see if I can pull this up a map here. Everybody see that map? Now we're setting the hearing for the vacation of Scenic Boulevard. This is in the southwest portion of town. And it goes from roughly 27th Avenue to 29th Avenue. And you can kind of see all kinds of parcels out there adjacent to that actual crosshatched right-of-way. Primarily, that's all owned by one individual on there. And all he wants to do in this vacation is to build one house. Eliminate that crosshatched roadway and build one house out there. We have taken a pretty good look at the area out there, and there isn't a whole lot of transportation circulation out there, but we think we could actually vacate this portion of the right-of-way and still be able to use 8th Street adjacent on the west side over there to actually provide some future connectivity getting back over to in the Grandview area to Assembly Road to the west. So we have taken a good look at it. There are no utilities in this actual right-of-way. These little 10-foot areas you can see that are crosshatched are actual access routes down to the trolley trail in there. Those really don't look like they're viable trail accesses. They're really steep. So we do feel like you could actually eliminate those two and not create any issues also. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on with that vacation. We are setting the hearing for the 17th of May. The value of this property is really slight on there for all that right-of-way. Why the cost of it's roughly about $11,000 on there. So it would be an at-cost vacation. I would be happy to answer any questions you might have about it.
I don't see any questions. So we'll move on to the next item. Thank you, Eldon. And you have one more item coming up here in a minute, so we'll be right back to you.
Okay.
Resolution 2021-33 is on Grandview paving. It's already been briefed earlier in this meeting. Ordinance 35924 has been deferred to May 10th. Ordinance 36003 has been tabled indefinitely. That brings us back to you, Eldon. Ordinance 35946, vacating Grant Street.
I'll see if I can pull us up another map here. Can everybody see that one? What we're doing here is we previously had a hearing on this vacation back in, I think, September 2020. That vacation is a little crosshatched area of Grant, right there in the south side of the freeway between I-90 and 5th Avenue, was approved subject to conditions. Really, the only conditions we had on this thing were the cost of the right-of-way and just making sure they bonded for any closure cost of that right-of-way as part of any improvement of that site. They are intending to build a medical office building on that right-of-way once it's vacated. The actual cost of that property was roughly $35,000 on there, so the applicant has paid the money for that, and he's bonded another $25,000 to actually close the right-of-way off from 5th Avenue. He'll put a driveway and sidewalk and things of that nature in there. So he's fulfilled all the conditions of the original vacation, so we're just looking for a final reading of that ordinance. Be happy to answer any questions.
I don't see any questions, and Ellen, I think you have one more coming up here still, so hang on.
Yep.
So under the first reading ordinances, I believe all of those have been briefed as part of the April 19th agenda. So those have been briefed, with the exception of, I believe, ordinance 36037, which is listed as a hearing item H1 for tonight, another vacation for the alleyway. So Eldon, you'd like to go and brief that one as well?
Okay. The hearing on this vacation of this alley is tonight. It's an alley between Columbia and Joseph, from Julia to Myrtle in there. From a staff perspective, that looks like a good vacation proposal. And we do not have any city utilities in that alley. The applicant wants to build a indoor sports and training facility and utilize that alley as part of that development on there. This property was platted back in the timeline where that non-user statute applies, so it would be a no-cost vacation on there. There are two utility purveyors in there wanting to request easements, which would be Avista and Comcast. So before we could actually complete the final transaction, that we'd either have to make provisions to relocate those utilities or retain easements as part of the scenario. So those are the two conditions we duly have in there. So there again, that's kind of the status of that one. Be happy to answer any questions to it.
I do not see any questions. Thank you, Eldon.
Thank you.
That completes the review of the current agenda. Council President Pro Tem.
Thank you. Great job, everyone. I am looking for a motion to approve tonight's entire agenda.
So moved.
So moved. I'm second. Councilmember Silver says my second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? No abstentions. Thank you. And next, I will take a motion to approve the consent agenda for tonight. So moved.
Second.
And then I believe I have the clerk read the agenda or all the items, and then we take the vote. Is that correct, Mr. Piccolo?
I believe so.
All right. Ms. Pfister, it's all yours.
Reports, contracts, and claims. Number 1, purchase from Bud Clary Ford Hyundai, formerly Columbia Ford, of 3 new Ford Explorers, utilizing the Washington State Contract Online Cars app, $112,551.72. Item number 2, 1-year value blanket order with Cascade Engineering Incorporated, Grand Rapids, Michigan, for the purchase of 12,096-gallon automated recycling carts with delivery services from April 15, 2021 through April 14, 2022, $995,781.60, including freight and tax. Number 3, contract amendment with Beth Canar and Summit Law Group, Seattle, Washington, to act as special counsel providing legal services and advice to the City Legal Department and Human Resources Department regarding labor negotiations for Spokane Police Department and Spokane Fire Department not to exceed $50,000. Item number 4, consultant agreement with Murray Smith Corporation, Spokane, to provide 2021 water model calibration in conjunction to the water system plan update for 2023 and capital water facilities plan not to exceed $146,700, including tax. Number 5, interlocal agreement between the city and Spokane International Airport for the water system plan, $200,000. Number 6, contract amendment with Nichols Kovich Engineering PLLC, Spokane Valley, Washington, to design bridge upgrades for the Hatch Road Bridge, $42,500. Total contract amount, $132,370.46. Number 7, sole source contract renewal number 1 of 4 with Dresser Ram Company, Houston, Texas, for maintenance services and supplies for the turbine generator at the waste energy facility from May 1, 2021 through April 30, 2022, not to exceed $100,000, including tax. Number 8, final contract extensions with costs for the waste energy facility from April 1, 2021 through March 31, 2022, with A, Nelco Company, LLC, Naperville, Illinois, for chemical management and water treatment, $38,000 plus tax. B, Knight Construction and Supply Incorporated, Deer Park, Washington, for mechanical repairs, $1,800,000, including tax. Number 9, contract with Knight Construction and Supply Incorporated, Deer Park, Washington, for fabric filter bag changeout services from May 1, 2021 through April 30, 2023, $194,972.38, including tax, over the 2-year term. Number 10, report of the mayor of Penny Nay, claims and payments of previously approved obligations, including those of Parks and Library through March 26, 2021, total $10,857,196.60. With Parks and Library claims approved by the respective boards, warrants excluding Parks and Library total $6,452,218.16. B, claims and payments of previously approved obligations, including those of Parks and Library through April 2, 2021, total $3,060,673.13. With Parks and Library claims approved by the respective boards, warrants excluding Parks and Library total $2,358,668.17. C, payroll claims of previously approved obligations through April 3, 2021, $7,484,792.46. Number 11, City Council meeting minutes for March 22nd, March 25th, March 29, and April 1, 2021.
All in favor of the consent agenda, say aye.
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 Aye. Anyone opposed? No abstentions. Consent agenda passes. And that ends our advance agenda work for this afternoon, and we will see everyone tonight at 6 p.m. for our regular legislative session.
See you later.
Thanks for using